express your
No,
opinions,
we
but
do.
not on people's property.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Just respectfully.
Sure.
So we're just saying, absolutely, your signs and everything, and that's good. This is not the way to do it.
Okay.
It's private property.
But if I did live here and it was my property, this would be absolutely fine.
Totally.
And you don't know if I live here or if this is my property.
We actually do know. That's why we're asking.
Oh, really? Because you live here, right? You
No,
said so.
because we know the person who does live here.
Oh.
So that was just a short clip from a wider video that's gone absolutely viral on Twitter, and it stars Lisa Alexander. She's the woman in that clip who's assuming that a person of color stenciling Black Lives Matter on their own property doesn't live there and doesn't own the property. Now, I'm going to play you the full clip here in just one moment, but I want to read you the original tweet from the person in question because I think it really helps to set the context. And this tweet has been liked over 200,000 times on Twitter. A white couple called the police on me, a person of color, for stenciling a hashtag BLM chalk message on my own front retaining wall. Quote unquote, Karen lies and says she knows that I don't live in my own house because she knows the person who lives there. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. So let's play the whole clip and you'll get the wider context.
Is this your property? Hi, I'm asking you if this is your property.
Why are you asking?
Because
Well,
it's private property.
Because it's private property,
So,
sir.
are you defacing private property, or is this your building? You're free to express your
No,
opinions,
we
but
do.
not on people's property.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Just respectfully.
Sure.
So we're just saying, absolutely, your signs and everything, and that's good. This is not the way to do it.
Okay.
It's private property.
But if I did live here and it was my property, this would be absolutely fine.
Totally.
And you don't know if I live here or if this is my property.
We actually do know. That's why we're asking.
Oh, really? Because you live here, right? You
No,
said so.
because we know the person who does live here.
Oh, okay.
So
Then
that's all
I
we
suggest
wanted
you
to
call
ask, and
him
I'm not
or
disagreeing with
call the
you.
police.
Why do you
Or
wanna call the police?
because
What do you
you're
want me
accusing me
to-
of a crime, correct?
What I'm asking you is why are you
And I'm
doing
not
this?
answering you.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
So your choices are to call the cops if you believe I'm calling a crime, and I will more than be happy to talk to them.
Okay, thank you.
What's your name again?
I'm Lisa.
Lisa, what's your last name?
What is your name?
What's your name? I asked
I'm
first,
not
Lisa.
committing a crime,
What's your name,
sir.
sir? What's your last name, sir?
What is your first name, sir?
I'm not answering. I'm not talking to you. You're talking to me. I'm asking you the questions.
Well, we're not doing anything illegal.
Neither am I.
Actually,
you
you
are
are. because
actually.
it's
Really?
private property.
Oh, okay. Well, then call the cops.
Thank you. We will do so.
Lisa and Robert.
Yeah.
I'll be right here.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye. And that, people, is why Black Lives Matter. That's Karen, and she's calling the cops. And this is going to be really funny. Because she knows the people who live here. Personally.
So what you can see here is an attempt to basically stereotype the neighborhood. That this person comes up and tries to put on her polite, white woman Karen face and voice saying, I support your right to protest and carry your signs and all of this and all of that, but this is defacing private property. And she never assumes for a second that maybe this guy owns the property, that maybe this is his actual space, and that he's making a choice to use his space, his, living space, to make a political and social statement. And then when confronted with the possibility, as this guy sort of hints, that, maybe I do live here, maybe I do have the right to make this statement on my property, she just dismisses it out of hand, saying, oh, we know who lives here, without providing any real evidence in that regard. Almost certainly, she had no idea who lives there, and she was just saying that as a way to cop out. And then when confronted with the fact that maybe she's being caught in the act of racial and perhaps class profiling, she bows out of the scene. And that's what happens here. And as the recorder notes, this is exactly why you need to do things like support Black Lives Matter. Now, it should be noted that the person recording this does not identify explicitly as black. They identify themselves as a person of color. So they might not see themselves as part of the black community, but definitely see themselves as racialized and as an ally to that community. And I think what that shows is that this sort of profiling is most likely to affect Black Americans, but not necessarily exclusively, and that this push for solidarity is for all people, regardless of race, to not just be assumed to be trespassers or vandalizers in their own neighborhoods on their own property. And so since this has been posted, this has sort of gone viral even beyond the clip. We now have information that this Lisa Alexander person, her husband is also in the clip. His name is Robert Alexander, owns a business called LA Face. And, now there's being connected to the fact that she has this makeup company. And there's also scandals with that company. And I think that a lot of people are also drawing connections here to the Amy Cooper story. That was the story from, a couple weeks ago now in Central Park in New York, where a white woman basically said she would call the police and say an African-American man was making her feel unsafe, knowing that that would create this, racial animus, and knowing that that would put that man in danger if she did that. Now, I don't think this is quite as serious because I don't think that threat is explicitly made, but the implication is, I am a white person. I am surveilling this neighborhood. From what you look like and the message you're making, I assume you don't belong. And, I have the ability to basically level political, legal, physical consequences upon you. And again, I think this is important that we're seeing these clips, because this one, again, it's not as bad as the Amy Cooper one, I don't think, but really, it's part of the same broad narrative we've been seeing, where white people, not just white women, but white women with a particular manifestation, are sort of using their privilege, their legal and political and social and economic privilege, to sort of, surveil and levy this implicit threat over people of color, black people in particular, right? That, I have the right to be here. I have the right to question whether you have the right to be here. Your actions, the way you look, the way you dress, the way you speak, any or all of these things combined make me think that you're the outsider here. And these clips have been happening for years where, black people were questioned being in their own apartment complexes. Black people were in their condo complexes pool, and, a white woman would question whether they have the right to be there. These sorts of clips are endemic of white people making these sort of assumptions. And it's important we see them for what they are. And I think this is a great example showing, while a person is making a statement for Black Lives Mattering, why we need to have that conversation continuing. Because whether it's in very liberal San Francisco, or whether it's in any other part of the country, or frankly here in Canada, as it applies to Black and Indigenous people who are often assumed to not belong in certain places because of that systematic hate and discrimination, we need to have these conversations. And I'm glad that we're finally getting some sunlight, because this has been happening for as long as, America has been a society. And it's only now that everyone has the power to record that we're finally seeing the truth. It couldn't have come any sooner.